What's up, everybody? This is Electric Infamous, so excuse me. And so I made a previous video. I finally made a mistake of having the light on, my RGB light. This is what I have here. I turned it off because it was glaring so much in my glasses because I wear glasses. So my bad on that. But anyways, I'm going to be talking just a little bit more in depth on Dying Light 2. I really think that Dying Light 2 did a really good job in terms of its sound quality, its combat style, its parkour, and vice versa. So anyways, and its mission structure. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the mission structure, excuse me. And the mission structure is very different a little bit, in my personal opinion or perspective, than from what Dying Light 1 did. But I like the way how it still incorporated the day-night cycle, how you can do specific missions. That's what's really nice about it. Another thing what I really like about Dying Light 2 mainly is the protagonist, Aiden Caldwell, and Jonah Scott. That's right. His name is Jonah Scott that does the role of Aiden Caldwell for Dying Light 2. And when I first started playing it, I felt like that it sounded a little bit like Kyle Crane. I forgot what his name was. Roger Craig Smith. That's right. Roger Craig Smith did the voice of Kyle Crane in Dying Light 1 and the following. And so I think Dying Light 2 did a really good job in terms of the aspect of its parkour and its gameplay combined within the two. I think it did a very good job with that. I really like the sound structure and its infrastructure, and from being outside of buildings or being inside. I like the way how it just condenses into one type of sound in a certain way. And it's unique how it does that. I don't think many other games I have ever played like that had that type of kind of structure to it. And that's what makes it unique. Dying Light 1 actually did that though too, but I felt like that it wasn't the greatest, but it did it well. It did it very well. So anyways, now another thing what I really liked about Dying Light 2, mainly because of, other than from Dying Light 1, it did a very unique type of way to where it gave you a certain type of agency. There's a lot of games out there, especially open world games, that give you agency, like veering off the beaten path, doing just like going around like scavenging, materials or resources, so that way you can be able to craft different types of things for your weapons. With the crafting system in Dying Light 2, it's a little different, and what makes it different is that when you use a specific type of any kind of weapon, whether if it's two-handed or one-handed, they have these things called modifications, mods. They call it modification, whatever. It's a little bit of a duh, so my bad on that. So what it does is that when you put it in a different mod of any kind of weapon that you use, because each weapon that you will pick up has to do with rarity. You have your commons, uncommons, and rare and unique and legendary or exotic. I don't know. It's kind of stupid how they kind of do it that way sometimes in games like that, but all in all, but when you have like different types of rarities, we're going to go back to the rarity thing in terms of the weapons and vice versa. You have 3 different types of notches to put different types of modifications. There's a few that I can definitely remember. You can put flame on there, you can put spark, you can put jolt. Jolt basically is like spark. It's going to be it's a little higher up from spark, but it's pretty much almost the same thing. You can put venom on there, like toxicity, like the toxic stuff that you can put on your weapons and be able to dumb down a lot of enemies and zombies' health. Now, we're going to go a little bit into the gameplay here a little bit though too, because of the fact that there is one thing I do not like. I love the gameplay in this game. I think it's fantastic. It's definitely vamped up from what Dying Light 1 did in terms of the gameplay structure. And it's very unique of how they had to... how they really had to basically... They incorporated the grappling hook, okay? But the grappling hook is more based on parkour skills than anything else. Dying Light 1 had that though too, but not like what Dying Light 2 does with the grappling hook. What the grappling hook does in Dying Light 2, you can't use it like you did in Dying Light 1. Just put it out there, okay? In Dying Light 2, the grappling hook is like when you throw it up against a building, you won't be able to go up to that building. No, you basically have to like climb and climb and climb if you can be able to do that. But it's like I said, it's more based on the parkour rather than just like using the grappling hook like you did in Dying Light 1. So that's the only gripe that I have about it. I think a lot of people have that kind of a gripe. But I understand where they're coming from, and I understand where I'm coming from with that. So now, let's see, what do I want to talk about here more about Dying Light 2? Oh yeah, it's sound. I love the sound in this game. They did a really good job incorporating the sound with not just with the movements, but with the with the gameplay aesthetic, with your weapons and how they basically make contact against enemies or zombies. Now, another thing I will have to maybe just put one small gripe about it is that why in the world did they have to put health bars above enemies? But I understand why they did it, okay? The reason why I think that they did is because they wanted to make Dying Light 2 a little bit more challenging. And honestly, quite honestly, I think that was a good way of doing it. I really do, because you got to think about it this way. Games have come a long way. They've come this far in terms of the new generation of gaming hardware that we have now. We have both Xbox Series X and S. We have the PlayStation 5, and it's amazing how these systems can be able to make these games look amazing in HDR and all that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. But that's going to be a separate video. I just thought I'd put that a little bit of, I don't know what to call it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But all in all, I think Dying Light 2 is a really great game. I think it did a really good job in a lot of areas. The exploration is definitely that of Dying Light 1 again, and that's what even makes it more fun. Now, I will mention, a lot of people already know this, but New Game Plus came out earlier this week. It came out on Wednesday, so I highly advise, if you ever guys played the game initially on your first playthrough, go ahead and play New Game Plus. It's definitely more fun, and it's a lot more challenging. And another thing I've definitely have been able to do is that, doing certain types of enemy events, because they have enemy events in the game, and you could be able to obtain different types of rarities. I have acquired at least, I'm trying to remember, I've acquired at least maybe 4 or 5 legendaries already, but mainly the weapons I have obtained through the legendary rarity of them as they are mainly two-handed weapons. And so I kind of changed it up a little bit in my New Game Plus for Dying Light 2. I initially had 3 pieces of tank and I had 3 pieces of brawler. The tank gear is basically, you're only going to be using two-handed weapons for melee. That's it. Okay, if you have all 6 pieces of tank gear, it's only for two-handed weapons, but it also depends on what kind of other perks that are going to be able to pertain on that specific type of gear. And it also has to do with the rarity, as I saw fit of discussing of what the weapons will have that type of rarity as well. So what I actually initially did, that's what I had. I had 3 pieces of tank and I had 3 pieces of brawler. The brawler is going to be more pertaining to the one-handed combat rather than the two-handed combat. And I found out, to my knowledge and to my own personal preference and or opinion, that I found that the one-handed is, for me, is very effective, because I guess maybe you're less vulnerable, because you can be able to just you're able to dodge and do all this kind of stuff, and I found dodging quite a little bit more, but I like that. I like that fluid gameplay, and the game definitely has a lot better fluid gameplay to it than from what Dying Light 1 did. But that, mind you, that's only my personal opinion. So, all I'm saying is that if you really want to pertain yourself to procure better gear that's going to be more tailored to your playstyle, you can, like I said, you don't have to do what I did. Okay, I'm just saying, You can do all tank with two-handed weapons. You can do all brawler gear and do one-handed weapons and do some throwing knives, dude. Oh, it's amazing. But anyways, all in all, Dying Light 2 is a great game. I do highly recommend it. But this is the Electric Infamous here, and I'll chat you guys later. Have a good one.